just trying to kind of reconnect the martial arts community around here.
I know you had some issues a couple or 3 years ago or whatever.
Yes.
With them, had a falling out. Okay.
For the record, Chris Ivanhoff did strike me. He did assault me. He chopped my neck. And we were in Taekwondo class, but we were just doing warm-ups. There was nothing. He's never done that to any other student. I've never had a sensei do that to me before. Tim's quite upset about that.
Okay.
I'm upset about that too, man.
And why, why wasn't that reported, Jess?
I was speaking to people, and of course it's like, because he's with the police force, he's a sheriff, it's not gonna, they'll turn against you, all these things.
I mean, one thing I would say is that when you're in a combat situation like that, a training type of thing, it'd be the same thing that if, while I'm training with my officers, and I don't know any of the particulars about it, Jess, but I do know that when you're in that type of a thing, it can be very difficult to show that this is an assault and not part of the practice.
That's another reason.
But as far as whether because when Chris is over there doing his stuff at the dojo, he's Chris Ivanhoff. He's a civilian. He's not. That's not Deputy Ivanhoff there. Same thing when he's over here. He's a civilian. He's and he's got he's got the same rights as anybody else.
I'm willing to forgive Ivanhoff, even though he struck me, man. And it really, when that happened, it wasn't in the confines of a regular training thing. Like, we were just about to do warm-ups, running around the room, and I had a partner in front of me, and we were going to jump around, do high fives like that. And right before we started, he's like, "Here, switch off with me." Ivanhoff got in front of me as a partner, put his hand back like this, and struck me. Boom. And I was like surprised and insulted, and then he's like, "Go, start running." And I thought about blocking it, and I was like, he's not going to hit me. It just seemed like people were telling me I'm going up against like a loaded decker. I don't know how to explain, hard to win against the sheriff, hard to prove that instance as well. Even though I have witnesses in that class, they're all on Ivanhoff's side, man. I don't know if anyone would stick up to me. I actually spoke to 4 black belts one time and told them all about Ivanhoff striking me, and no one backed me up. No one. And then they're like, he did that because he's trying to make you a better person.
Did you guys, I mean, I won't, well, lack of a better term, pull any punches as far as, that happened. How long ago did that happen, Jess?
That would be in 2018.
Okay, so a couple of years ago or so. Okay. And yeah, without any evidence, then that's where the issue becomes on whether something like that is prosecutable.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do about whether Chris is a sheriff's deputy or not.
He said, he versus he said, right? Like, his word against his word.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thinking, being that it was in the dojo, being that he's the Grand Master, being that he's a sheriff, being that I don't have any footage or audio of it, and that I'm concerned that because the black belts wouldn't stick up for me, the other witnesses probably won't stick up for me either. But Ivanhoff knows it, and he admitted it too. He said it with a questioning tone, but he's like, "I hit you?" In front of everyone? Yeah, he hit me, man. He also grabbed my belt and yanked it aggressively. I don't know if that really counts as assault.
Well, in a lot of situations, yes. When it comes down to in that training realm, that gets difficult. Like I said before, it gets difficult to say what constitutes an assault when you are basically in an environment where that's part of what you're doing is to some extent.
Well, we were just doing warm-ups.
Right.
So it'd be hard to.
Right.
Hard to.
And please don't get me wrong, because I'm not discounting the fact that it happened or didn't happen. Okay, I don't have any. All I've got right now is your say so.
Yeah.
And yes, you've always been, to my knowledge, you've always been honest and fair with me, and I've always been honest and fair with you too. But yeah, the chances of that being, especially after so much time going by, the chances of something like that being prosecuted are very difficult.
You know, the context of that is probably pretty important. There's like a whole backstory to all this stuff.
No, I get that. I get that. I know that there's a lot of stuff.
Just know that.
But it's gotten to have let it get to this point, because you can do one of two things with it. And this is just, you know, with what you have, what's happened between the two of you. Okay, you don't have any control over what Chris does. Okay, or I mean, what Tim does. But, all right, yeah, you can take those experiences, take those incidences with Chris and say, you know what? Yeah, he did me wrong, but that's done. That's in the past.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'd love to fix it.
Yeah.
Between us. Yeah, it's just a shame, because really, I'd love it more than anything else if we could just have peace. You know? And Ivanov really does owe me an apology, and Tim an apology.
Well,
but that doesn't mean
you can't force somebody to give an apology.
Exactly.
You can't. You know, if you guys think he's in the wrong, then, like I said, you can't force him to admit that, because in his mind, maybe he doesn't think he is. My recommendation there is to, you know, unless you can talk with Chris on your own and try to mend those fences if you want to, that's up to you.
I would. It seems like almost what's the word? Pointless. But yeah, man.
It may be.
I considered them my friends, you know. I still, you know, in some ways, especially James, he's always been good to me, but he didn't stand up for me when I told him that Ivanov struck me. Nobody did. And that's the only thing that he's ever let me down on.
And if that's going on, then you know what? Wash your hands of it and be done.
I mean, I'm out of there, you know.
Yeah.
But there's still just a part of me that would just love to teach them, actually. But mostly just to rebuild that bridge, because I don't like having any sort of issues with anybody. I'd forgive Ivanov for chopping me if he apologized.
Yeah. Yep. And that's, you know, maybe someday you guys can have that conversation. But that's a conversation to have between the two of you.
Yeah. I'm disappointed in the anger from both of them, really. But especially from Tim's standpoint, I can understand, man, because the real truth is that Ivanov did strike me. He did swear in my face. He did lie about Tim. You know. And those are things to get a guy mad and get him upset. I would say, just don't let whatever issues you had with him affect where you want to go and what you want to do with your life. Word.
Okay? And I understand how people look at things and think, well, he's a police officer, he's this. You know what? That, when it comes down to it, that doesn't matter. This is two citizens that we're dealing with.
Yeah, it'd be great if they could just resolve their differences.
But I agree. Resolve them in a civil manner.
Yes. Yes. Well, I hope you have a good evening, sir.
All right. Thanks, Jess. You take care.